Also joining us, actress Kerry Condon. And last but not least, Joel Edgerton. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on a beautiful, beautiful movie. Because this is an audience of primarily SAG-AFTRA actors. So I always like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card? And this is a strange group to do it with because both of you, I don't know if you guys know this, but they're not from here. So you might have been acting for some time before you actually got your SAG card.
I got my, is it called Taft Hartley?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and then somebody had to tell me that I was eligible to join SAG. I don't know why, I didn't know the process. In Australia we have the Media Entertainment Arts Alliance, which is our version.
Entertainment Arts Alliance.
Yeah, MEAA. MEAA,
yeah.
And no offense to the MEAA, but they're nowhere near as cool and as protective as SAG is. Like nowhere near. I get residual checks in Australia for 32 cents for things, and I'm like, oh, I'll take it. But it was I did a movie here called Open Window with Mia Goldman, which was a tiny independent film, and that was the film that allowed me to join the union.
Okay, for you, Kerry?
I got the equity for theatre first, because that was my first job in America, was theatre. And I believe the SAG card came, I did a pilot that never went the distance or whatever, with J.J. Abrams directed.
What?
Yeah, years ago, yeah. Yeah, I just remember I was staying at Marina Del Rey at the Ritz.
It's a nice life.
It was, yeah.
And Clint, I'm curious for you, directors who are so good with actors, I'm always curious, do you have any acting experience? Is it something you studied, or how do you know to talk to actors so well?
You just get good ones and say good job, really. I have not done any acting on stage or in films or anything like that, but before I made Jockey, my first film, I took an acting class just so I could feel what it felt like and know what was helpful when someone was giving direction or when just to be in that space and feel what they were going through and hopefully be able to speak a bit better to that. That's the extent of the acting that I've done.
Do you think it helped a lot?
It helped a ton. Yeah. One, I realized why it's so addictive for you all to do it and so lovely. It felt like more deeper than like therapy or anything like that. I just felt great after just doing a scene in the acting class. But then also, yeah, it helped to not just say things like bigger or smaller or something like that.
Or better.
Or better, yeah. Do it better. That's great, but do it better. But sometimes saying bigger or smaller or something like that helps. So I don't know, it's just like, I think being in that space helped be able to articulate things a bit better.
I think that's such a great idea. And actually I want to start at the beginning with Clint, because I know that Train Dreams is based on Dennis Johnson's acclaimed novella. How did it find its way to you, and what made you see it as cinematic? Because I keep thinking, just from hearing the voiceover, which I don't know if it was taken directly from the book, but this movie feels like a poem in so many ways.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I had known Dennis Johnson's work for a long time and been a huge fan of his, and this was the first book of his that I had actually read. But I don't know if I ever would have thought about it as a film. And then fast forward like 10 years later, I've read everything of his, and some producers had the rights to the book. And they reached out to me after seeing Jockey and asked if I'd be interested in adapting it. And then I read it again with that in mind, and then it really felt like, it just felt very cinematic and felt very beautiful and felt like it had this combination that I hope to be able to translate of reveling in the small moments of a life, but then also kind of taking a larger view of a life. And then the narration came kind of later, just trying to figure out a way to bring some of the magic from the novel or the novella into the movie, and it's about 50-50, like from the novella and then written in the style of the novella.
Is it true Will Patton does the audiobook?
Will Patton does the audiobook as well, yeah.
Was that before or after you casted?
Way before, yeah. He was actually good friends with Dennis Johnson while Dennis Johnson was alive, and did a lot of his audiobooks.
I mean, because his voice is so perfect.
It's
so
perfect.
I went to look for the book, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, it's amazing. He just has this like. I hoped that the narrator would be somebody who like is just telling a story and like getting out of. Maybe one of those classic narrators like from Jules and Jim or Tu Mama Tambien who kind of takes the sides and things. And he just has this perfect timbre to his voice where he's very sweet, but also has a graveliness to it and a depth to it. It's indescribable.
That's so. I can only really think of 2 other cases where I've really liked an omniscient narrator, and so now this makes 3.
Oh, thank you,
So
great.
you're good company with Barry Lyndon and Little Children.
Little Children's a great one. I didn't think about that one.
Oh my God, so good. But I mean, was there thought at some point, like, did you ever consider not having narration?
I tried it at first when Greg, my writing partner Greg and I, when we first got into it, we just tried to like write it straight ahead. And there was something missing in that going back to that magic from the book. The book's only 117 pages and yet tells an entire life. And part of that is how Dennis Johnson's able to turn a phrase and skip 5 years in a sentence, or 45 years in a sentence at times. And so it really was just like, I felt like that would help kind of give some personality to it. And then again, like treating the narrator almost like if you had found yourself at some like bar in a logging town and this guy's had too many drinks and starts telling you about Robert Greene. Like that's how I wanted it to feel.
And for the actors, I'm curious, were you at all familiar with the novel, or did it come to you as a script? And what intrigued you about these characters?
I had read the book. It was about 2018.
You read everything, so this does not surprise me.
No, I don't read everything. I barely can read.
He's learning.
The novella had been gifted to me, and I don't really spend that much time reading for pleasure. I'm constantly trying to catch up reading other things work-wise, and I read the novella, and I sort of realised why it had been given to me. And there's certain books that get passed along for certain reasons, and I was immediately taken with it to the point where I had inquired about the rights of the book and then realised they were taken and had put it out of my mind. And then, so it felt like Clint had some sense of me and my interest in this when he reached out to me a few years ago. And I don't know what it was. I was immediately grabbed by so much of Robert's experience, but when I first opened the book and got to the section early on where the Chinese worker is taken, that Robert is complicit in that and starts to experience this sort of ghost-like visitations and guilt, and the rendering of that was the first point of it. And then I was deeply moved by everything that went after it, that I wanted to get. I saw it as a film in my mind, but I remember thinking this would be a really hard thing to adapt. And so when Clint reached out to me, I was very nervous and excited to read it. And I thought he had done an incredibly way better job than I ever would have, turning it into what it is. And I think it's very special the way he's taken and harnessed the poetry of Dennis and the voice, the integrity of what's in the novella, and but authored his own version of it.
And Kerry, for you, were you familiar at all with the book, or did it come to you as a script?
Came as a script, yeah, and I read it on a plane, and I know they say you cry on a plane loads, but I cried so much reading it, and I did think, Jesus, is the plane, or is this the script? But it's so spiritual, I feel, that the script was so spiritual, and then nature was such a huge character, and that was such a big draw for me, because I love movies that have nature and capture nature in a beautiful way. And then obviously then I looked at like who was attached after reading it. But the initial read was just the script as a whole was so beautiful. I was like, oh, I really want to be in this. If it moved me to tears just reading it, like it's gonna be hard to not do a good job once it's on the screen. So yeah, I just wanted to be in it. It was so beautiful.
Did you go in reading cold? Because I'm curious if there was a moment when you thought Claire would be a love interest, because I love that she's not.
Yeah, everyone says that. I never thought that. I just read it kind of for what it was, and I suppose I like that because, you know, that sort of idea that someone can be more important touching you at the right time and touching your soul, and I just kind of liked that to be portrayed on screen between a man and a woman, that, you know, it's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah, you don't get to see that very often.
Yeah.
Joel, I'm curious for you because you were familiar with the novel, but when you read the script and you realized, you know, how quiet your character is, and he has to say so much with his eyes and just his face and expression and body language, you know, how did you prepare for that, and how did you feel about that? Was it exciting or intimidating? Or...
I talk way too much in life. Way too much. I'm really drawn to quiet characters. I've had a bit of experience with. I think Loving was you know, Jeff Nichols' film Loving was.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Applause, right?
You know, and trying to do a lot with very little words. It really focuses the performance. I mean, speaking just to back up about the narration, I realised too that I was supported by that information, that the use of a godlike narrator was allowing the audience to steer us a little bit. That allowed me to focus on the quietness and the subtlety of these moments, and not to falsely create words that would steer Robert in the direction that he was more like me, and too verbose, you know, that I could then trust that I could just live in those moments. And a lot of this experience for me is a kind of a different experience, in that I, you know, as much as I say that I'm different, that I talk too much, I'm proving it right now. There's so many personal things in this for me about family, and you know, I'm a husband and a father, and while I was connected to the book 8 years ago, there was so much more connection I had to it when Clint reached out to me, so much that I was almost afraid of doing the film because of dealing with the things that I don't want to think about.
Yeah.
But it also meant that I realised while it was going to be difficult, there was something that was going to be relatively easy in another way. But the quietness of it is, I don't know, yeah, I guess each job you approach with a sense of where you need to, what tone and what pitch you need to come at it with, and it felt comfortable to me.
Yeah. This is a really nerdy question, but because the voiceover is so integral, I'm curious, did you record that in advance? Had the actors heard any of it, or did you hear it for the first time when you saw the movie?
Will was on set, just doing it. No.
Following Joel around.
That's what a good actor he is. I believe that. Did you see? I was like, really? Start that lore. I would believe it.
And then Joel leaned forward and thought about his answer.
Be a good way of directing a movie when just narrating it, and I just have to follow what you're doing. So he picks up.
You should bring him to this next time. He can just walk around in the background.
It was good to be aware of where that was going to sit, but it was also easy to forget and just allow each scene to sort of play out the way it needed to. But I was always sort of, you know, or occasionally aware of where those where that voice was going to come in and what it was going to say, and it did change a little bit too.
I know that you shot on location in Spokane, Washington, and apparently, did you use natural light for everything?
We use natural light for, we supplemented it a couple of times with candles and anything that you see that's candlelight scene or lanterns or fires, like that's what we used for lighting. And so it's either natural light with some bounces and things like that to kind of shape it a bit. but yeah, it was all natural light and then firelight.
And you built these sets, they're like all practical, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, not you personally.
Not me personally, no. I had other things to do.
It was
so
Joel getting in there. Built sets.
No, we actually built that cabin. Our production designer, Alex Schaller, is incredible. We built that cabin. A lot of stuff, there's a lot of things that like it doesn't even seem like we built it, and yet we built it. Like, for instance, there's a couple of scenes of them cutting into these big trees, and I don't think any of us would have felt good cutting into a 800-year-old tree. And so we built these big, Alex and her team built these big like parts of trees that they could get up on and cut into. And then we extended them with VFX.
Like fake trees?
Yeah, fake trees. And fake stumps.
But they printed all the scripts on paper multiple times.
No, it's not the individual that's responsible for global warming, it's the corporations, right? I mean, I can't.
I agree. And thank you to our sponsor, Walmart.
I'm curious for the actors, how much did that help you to really lock into these characters to have that authenticity, in addition to the costumes and the hair and makeup, to be working on these practical sets, not having to worry about, dramatic lighting in your face?
I found it amazing to be in these environments for a start, to be in the forests and then to the scenes with Bill Macy by the fire and John Deal. We are just sitting around a fire and we could barely see Adolfo, the cinematographer, and his team, because they'd be even 15 feet away in the shadows, and it was so, as Clint's saying, they're not really augmenting it with any other lighting. And Nathaniel Arcand and myself by those fire scenes, again, it's just like, it's nighttime, there's a fire, and we're talking to each other, and there's dogs walking around, and somewhere Adolfo is capturing it, but we don't know where he is. And there's real intimacy to that. And I've always, and I've said this before, I'm not someone that exists well on a green screen set. No matter how much you tell me to be afraid of a tennis ball on a stick, I love tennis. And it's hard my imagination is okay, but it's much better when I have real things in front of me. So that cabin, you could have lived in that cabin and it operated as a cabin, and that went pretty much for every scene in the film.
But you have done green screen acting, is the interesting thing, and I always think that must be the hardest thing to do. Yeah, exactly.
Swinging a tennis ball on a pool cue, and they're going to be terrified of that.
I don't know if you've had that experience.
I haven't, but I think I might like it.
I think you would, and you're good at everything.
Go away, that's not true.
But it does help to be feeling like you're in a piece of theatre, and actually there were certain scenes that we would do the entire scene as a one shot, or get to play out entire scenarios, and then or just go out into the woods and follow kids and chickens and not try and prescribe to a toddler what they should do or say, but allow them to dictate what would happen, and that we were free to follow, that we would fall into place, and create moments and allow those things to come to life. And that was enabled by having a real environment around us that was 360 degrees and extended for as far as we wanted to, until maybe we hit the highway or something,
Similar for you, Kerry?
Yeah, that scene on the balcony was so beautiful because the sun was going down, and there's something about capturing nature that feels so like you're lucky, because you're like, oh, the chances of that happening at this moment and this time, and it so just felt really special and very magical, yeah. And then also all the different departments were so great. The hair department, I mean, she really, like, it was not, they were not custom made wigs at all, that she just, like, did such a good job on, and having to cover the lace when you're not, when under the circumstances that we were under was very tricky, and she did such a good job. And also the makeup, there was a lot of attention to detail. he stained our teeth, which is, you know, because in those days they didn't have like pearly whites, you know, so it's like very, like all those little things make something amazing. Like it's like every department has to be great, or you're going to be taken out of it by going, oh God, like their teeth are so white. Do you know, or whatever.
It's funny you say that. That is actually one of the things I noticed. I wasn't like sitting there.
You noticed that they weren't white.
I noticed that I wasn't distracted by that. They did look like movie stars in the woods.
Grace.
You invoked the wonderful William H. Macy. He's probably Bill to you. He's William H. to me. This movie does have a fantastic cast. Felicity Jones is also wonderful. What was it like to, you know, show up on set and I guess like different people would be there on different days and to get to work with this amazing ensemble?
A dream. I mean, John Deal and, you know, Nathaniel. We've known each other for, we did a movie together in 2003 with Heath in Australia. We did Ned Kelly.
That's right.
And we're supposed to be in the film, like, you know, it's mentioned that we feel like old friends, you know. And I love that it's a platonic relationship. One of the things I love about, and talking about the quietness of Robert, for example, is that he meets Claire, and this need of connectivity and that friendship is a conduit for expressing the things that are trapped inside of you, and that for this relationship to have become a romantic relationship, it's fine if the audience feels like that's maybe what Robert's looking for, but the anxiety of just connecting with another human being is what it is. And finally, unbeknownst to himself, is a chance to bring things out of him. But every day with every actor was kind of extraordinary, you know. It was a dream for me to reconnect with Kerry. And then William H. Macy, I just had to put aside that I'm such a big fan of his, and that he was inspiring me while I was going through drama school. Being in still one of my favourite films, Fargo. And then working with John Deal, who I'm like, I know this guy, I've seen him in so much stuff, and what a pleasure to do the scenes with him. Like, I mean, it was a gift.
Yeah.
For, you know, all of them, Felicity, everyone, for me.
What's it like for you as a director? Because you're probably working with a lot of different actors, and they all have different styles or methods or approaches. And I feel like you have to be, you know, a director and maybe a little bit of a therapist, but a little bit of a school teacher. How do you get everyone sort of on the same page, even if they're all very different?
I mean, it helps with, everybody's got a different thing that they, like how they approach a scene and all of that. It helps with people like this who are good collaborative people. And everybody wants to, people here who we're talking to now, but really we got very lucky with the entire cast that everybody wanted to do a good job, and not only do a good job for the film that we're all working for, but also help the other person across from them. And it really was a collaborative process where it made my job very easy, because I'm not dealing with this person is dug in their heels on they don't want to act this way, and this person is dug in their heels on they don't want to do it this way, and now I have to try and like figure out a way to talk to everybody. It was very easy because everybody was not only very professional and amazing at their jobs, but also good people.
I'm sort of curious about that, because this film, as beautiful as it is, it also does deal with these big subjects, you know, grief and love and life and death, you know, an ordinary / extraordinary life. What was the atmosphere on set like? Was it hard? I mean, your character goes through so much. Like, I don't know if you take that home with you.
All the stuff that deals with the kids and the family is stuff that just lives inside of me, which is why my kids are great. I mean, they're very healthy, but there was a time before they were born where I didn't think they would step into the world. And so I remember when I spoke to my wife about doing this, and telling your wife you want to take the whole family to Spokane. No offense to anyone in Spokane, but you know, it is a great place to go, but you know, taking the whole family there. She knew that there was a connection I had to that. And beautifully heard me try and tell her what the story of Train Dreams was as I kind of choked up and said, oh, I guess we're all going to Spokane. I think this movie is so special in that it does celebrate an ordinary life.
Yeah.
It tells us that we should all be connected to the world that we're in. And it tells us that despite, well, it tells me anyway, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but it tells me that despite all of the hardships and the things we have to sort of pull ourselves through in life, that it's all worth it. And I believe that. And I think it's great to put the heroic lens onto an ordinary, otherwise insignificant character and remind us all that we're all of our lives, we're all very lucky to be even walking on the planet, and that then maybe beyond that, for me anyway, I think, well then it's like, what do we do with the time that we're here? And it resonates for me on so many levels, and I just think that it's a really special thing to put out into the universe, you know.
Well, I want to remind everyone this movie will be in theaters before when is it in theaters?
November 7th.
And then on Netflix, but it's so beautiful to see on a screen. Please spread the word. Thank you so much for being a great audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much.